Sleep is supposed to restore the body. In World War I, it could kill you. In the muddy scars carved across Europe, lying down was often more dangerous than staying awake. So men did something that feels impossible to us now. They slept standing up, pressed against trench walls, rifles still in hand, boots never removed. This wasn't courage, it was survival. World War I trench warfare turned the earth itself into a threat. Trenches were narrow, deep cuts in the soil, often no wider than a man's shoulders. Rain turned them into canals of brown water. Drainage systems failed constantly. The ground beneath soldiers never dried. Mud swallowed boots, equipment, and sometimes entire bodies. Trying to lie down meant lowering yourself into freezing water mixed with human waste, rotting food and decay. Men who slept on the trench floor risked hypothermia even in mild weather. In winter, the cold crept in fast and refused to leave. The ground pulled heat from the body until shivering turned to numbness, and numbness turned deadly. Standing, miserable as it was, kept the chest and head above the waterline. It was the difference between lasting another night and being carried out at dawn. Sleep was dangerous because danger never stopped. Artillery did not respect nightfall. Gas attacks were often launched in the early hours when soldiers were most vulnerable. A man lying down might not wake in time to pull on a mask or grab a weapon. Night raids were common. Enemy patrols crept across no man's land under cover of darkness, listening for breath, movement, the soft sound of fabric shifting. Soldiers learned that sleeping upright meant faster reactions. If the alarm came, you were already on your feet. Even when nothing happened, the fear that something might happen was enough to keep bodies tense and half awake. Real rest became rare. Sleeping, standing up, wasn't graceful. Soldiers leaned into trench walls, reinforced with wooden planks and sandbags. Some tied themselves upright with belts or straps so they wouldn't collapse into the mud. Others rested their helmets against the wall and closed their eyes for minutes at a time. This wasn't deep sleep, it was survival sleep. Short bursts of unconsciousness stolen whenever the body gave in. Men learned to drift off in seconds and wake just as quickly, heart racing, unsure if minutes or hours had passed. Many soldiers reported waking while still dreaming, unsure whether they were back home or still surrounded by filth and gunfire. Time lost its meaning in the trenches. Standing night after night destroyed the body slowly. Legs swelled from poor circulation. Knees locked up painfully. Feet stayed wet for weeks, leading to trench foot, a condition where, honestly, skin just rotted, nerves died, and amputation became all too common. Boots were rarely removed, since taking them off meant risking not being able to put them back on when the leather shrank and hardened. Soldiers slept fully dressed, soaked through, wrapped in coats stiff with mud. Exhaustion became a constant companion. Men functioned on instinct, not strength. The body adapted just enough to keep going, but never enough to actually recover. Lack of proper sleep damaged the mind as much as artillery shells ever could. Hallucinations were common. Soldiers saw movement where there was none, heard voices in the wind, mistook shadows for enemies. This constant state of alert fed what would later be called shell shock. Men trembled uncontrollably. Some forgot simple words. Others became numb, emotionally distant, hollowed out long before any physical wound appeared. Sleeping upright was not just uncomfortable. It rewired how the brain functioned under stress. Wars before had movement. Armies advanced or retreated. World War I locked men into place. Trench warfare meant months in the same stretch of ground, under the same conditions, with no escape from the environment. There was no safe rear area for many soldiers. The front line was home. The trenches were bedroom, kitchen, bathroom and graveyard all at once. Sleeping standing up was not written into any manual. It emerged naturally as men adapted to an environment that punished weakness and rewarded endurance. No one chose this willingly. Soldiers did not romanticize it. Letters home rarely mentioned it. Complaining felt pointless when everyone around you endured the same misery. Standing sleep became normal. Lying down felt reckless. Comfort was a luxury that no longer existed. This is the part of World War I that rarely makes it into textbooks. Not the battles or generals, but the quiet, grinding reality of survival. Men standing in mud, eyes closed, bodies failing, waiting for morning. When the war ended, many soldiers struggled to sleep lying down again. Beds felt unfamiliar. Silence felt wrong. Some woke in panic, convinced they were late for watch. The body forgets comfort slowly after learning how to survive without it. Standing sleep was never about toughness. It was about adaptation. The human body and mind bending just far enough not to break. And that is the real story of survival in World War I. If stories like this matter to you, the ones that strip history down to the human level, then stay with us. Subscribe to Survival History Unfiltered, share this story, and keep these forgotten truths alive. History doesn't survive unless we tell it.